Good evening. The Shade Tree Commission for August 7th, 7:04. There's 4 out of 5 people. We did get a new volunteer. We're very, very happy for him. She will be at our next meeting. We do have 2 alternate positions for alternates available if you would like to dip a finger into our commission and see what's going on. It would also be an opportunity to volunteer with all our projects that we have going. So let me know. My email's on the city website. Okay, so we have a quorum. So let's do disposition of minutes for our last meeting, June 13th. Do I have a move to accept the minutes? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All say move to say yes? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Say aye to adopt the minutes. Thank you. Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, we have some tree permits, some right-of-way issues. First is that we do have a pollinator garden permit application for 19 Joneswood. The application is all in order, and so I would suggest that we move forward with permitting her to have her pollinator permit. So I move that we move and grant the permit.
Second.
And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. In the future, we are going to be probably moving to a new pollinator program that's a little easier in signing up and being able to be on track with what's going on in the new pollinator world. We'll let you know when that happens. Thank you. Okay, there's been several tree removal requests. One on Court Street, 8 Court Street. Yeah.
80.
8, thank you. This particular one, the Assistant Service Safety Director has requests us to deny the permit. There is some concern by the administration that it will set a precedence, and that would be bad because Court is one of our most challenging streets to be able to keep greenery on. Mm-hmm. So I second the request to deny the permit. Any questions?
Do we have any more details about why they're requesting the removal?
Well, it's the perennial, it's interfering with certain types of utilities.
Okay.
And so the Assistant Service Safety Director had people out there looking, and they don't think that it warrants right now removal of the full tree. There are other recommended ways of dealing with it that they would like the property owner to do.
Okay.
So,
Have they communicated that?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they will communicate that we have denied their request, and probably we should deny it officially. So I move that we deny the request.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think it's really important to realize that even if they say they will replace the tree, you do not replace a tree that is 3 stories high and really fat, because that tree you replace with is going to be tiny and not very full and super susceptible to people hitting it or pulling on the limbs, or
Ripping it out.
ripping it out,
Yeah.
or doing any
Right.
of the stupid thing people do to our precious, precious trees. Baby trees are babies. They should be loved and treated with kindness and care, and not those other things. And so when there's a big tree that can handle more of that sort of stuff, we want to keep them because that provides for a lot more shade and helps reduce, a lot of the other things that are unpleasant about giant, massive plates of cement. So, questions? Maybe we should have an adopt a tree, adopt a baby tree. And that would be fun. Okay, there was also another, it's not a request, full-blown request, but there was one over on Eden Avenue, poor trees, half dying. So when, in this situation, these requests are put through almost automatically because they're a health and safety issue. So that was the thing. Okay. And that we don't really have anything to say about it. But they will be probably in the running for having a new street tree put in the next year or two.
I would like to add, I'll probably go check it out tomorrow. I'm actually going to do some arborist work over in the far east side, north of East State Street. So I will drive by it and check it out. The description was that the maple tree is half dead and that a lot of the branches had been falling in the yard. There were no pictures to accomplish or to accompany that, and I couldn't find anything on Google Earth. So if it is the bottom half that's dying, that's typical old age, and it may just need pruned. So
Well,
maybe some more on that
Right.
on our next meeting. I will take a look at it.
Yeah. I think one of the things is it's probably one of these Norway maples and the garbage ones. And the city planted one, they planted those, a bunch of them, all at the same time. So they're all now in that really sad stage where they're having major limbs because they put them all up and down Morris Avenue. And they're all like doing the major limb thing, which is not good for street trees, but for some other trees it's good because then it creates awesome places for like woodpeckers to nest. So there are good things about old rotten trees. So, thank you. And when you do, just email me tomorrow and then we can.
I'll see you some pictures.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Any more issues about that? No. Maintenance of tree canopy. There was some discussion, I just got over the email about there is this kudzu problem. That's not really for us to, not for us, but I don't know who would be, I guess the city doesn't, land maintenance. I don't know who would work with the landowners on this. It's a difficult problem. Maybe they need to hire people. Because there is a large gully, it's that large gully off Congress.
I mean, there are like private land management companies.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if the city has any capacity.
Yeah, I'm thinking there is, somebody may have spoken with somebody because they were talking about some of the management options for kudzu. Personally, I think goats, but
Yeah.
I'm a goat person. But I think that what happens there is a super important thing because we're going to just get more and more of that. You know, if it's not multiple rows or any of the other ones, it's going to be kudzu. It's just like marching up.
Well, to touch on invasives a little bit, I don't know, maybe we could look into doing some sort of public outreach or even just putting it on the shade tree page. One big issue that I've been seeing around town, one is Oriental bittersweet, which is on a lot of our shade trees. On Central Avenue, I see it on probably 3 or 4. They're fairly old, dying trees, but they could probably pretty easily be removed, but they have just kind of sustained. And another one is Tree of Heaven. That is, it's especially in vacant lots on sort of like property lines. It's kind of a tough nut to crack. We don't really have any say-so on it, but it may be something good to bring up to landowners, get some outreach about.
I think there will be the tree care meeting that is in October. That will be at ODNR. So I'm encourage everybody to go to do that. I think that removal of vine invasives is a really important thing. And so maybe what we need to do with the committee that will be like an educational maintenance tree happy people committee, maybe we need to have a workshop or get more educational tools or something out there for people to even be able to say, oh, this is what I have, sort of thing. So, but that might be something that we need to prioritize.
And I'm happy to lead, organize those. I also have a pesticide license, so I could demonstrate
Yeah,
control or removal
Right.
of some of these. Especially if someone has tree heaven in their yard and wants to volunteer, I would love to kill it for you.
he's rubbing his hands together.
There's a lot of it.
That's how I feel.
I'm looking at you, Congress.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that as people understand and are more educated about it, then it works better if a whole lot of people do it all at once.
Yep.
It's just so much better. And where I went to school, they would have an annual lupin bashing day, and everybody would go out and remove the lupins all over. Because they were invasive. They were very beautiful, but they were invasive. So, okay. So that, I think, is with the good segue into the concern about the drought and our smaller trees and just general trees for people.
Yeah.
I talked to David about doing a PSA sort of stuff. It hasn't really bubbled through. I'm not sure what our, that's probably recreation, lands and recreation, who do the tree. But I'm not sure who does it out on the floodplain, out by the, who does that? I mean, it's kind of, they're out there and they're on their own
Yeah.
after the first.
I mean, this is like a really prescient issue to me. I'm seeing it every day in the field. Most trees, especially that were planted in the last 3 to 5 years, are really struggling right now. And we don't have any kind of system put together for watering them regularly. Some of them have the gator bags, but even those aren't filled regularly. So I think it's really important to, the PSA is one element, but also getting into the recreation and lands department and talking to them and some of the labor there about proper tree care.
Yeah.
And doing some workshops. I think this is something we've talked about before, but I think it'd be really, now that we can do committees, it'd be really cool to start planning this.
Yeah.
Specifically because the drought this year is, from what I understand, the worst in like 15 years, at least. And so a lot of people that are working in these departments don't really have the experience with this kind of heat and drought. So yeah, I think it's vital that we kind of engage the other city departments.
Right. Doing workshops right now workshops are kind of in the future. Is this something that I need to get on the phone with tomorrow with people and say hello?
So I think a good example is the oaks on State Street that were planted this year. There could have been some soil issues, soil health issues just in general for those trees in that space. But I would say most of them are dying because of water.
Right.
They haven't been watered at all.
Okay.
And, a tree needs 10 to 15 gallons per inch of diameter every week through its first year.
Right.
So if we're not out there watering at all, and, a lot of people don't know that trees need that much water, we're just going to continue seeing this and kind of just wasting money too.
Right.
Because these trees are expensive.
Right.
And, there's no plan for aftercare once we have them in the ground.
Yep.
So that's something that I'm pretty passionate about and would like to lead, if possible, putting together some standards
Yes.
for actually caring for these young trees.
Yes, maintenance. Well, and that also brings us to a discussion about what's going on West Union and people's understanding of what happens when the city does contract with doing these sort of jobs, and being able to kind of watch them and be able to be the watcher on them. I'm not sure if we have I wish David was here, a way that every single time, even there's tiny trees, that it automatically goes and gets the best management practices put in.
Right.
Or not. I'm not sure how those are put in, and that would be something that the administration, we'd have to work with the administration on. But also letting people know that there are these requirements that we, as a city, require when we put into contracts, like we did this one time, and then people themselves can go out and look
Yeah.
and see if they're fulfilling the protocols and the best management practices like they should be.
Right.
It's better to have more eyes than not, Stephen, so. So I think, okay, what I will do, I'll contact the rec people, the rec and,
Yeah, just kind of gauging interest in doing a workshop. I would
well,
love
and
to come
also
in and
see
talk.
what they're doing right now,
Yeah.
watering and just kind of.
Yeah,
Yes, I will do that. And then I will, the next step is that I think that maybe having a meeting together with the recreation director, the person might be good. We can invite
yeah,
to a meeting or something. Might be good to get some conversation going there. Because I think a lot of these are, they're mostly tasked with doing most of the maintenance. Stuff. So, I'm not sure where the arborist was. And
yeah. I've been wondering that as well. I think something I'm running into in a lot of my conversations with people in town is frustration with the lack of resources available to care for our tree canopy. We talk a lot about our trees here, but we don't really put much money or energy towards it. So I think that's something that a lot of people are pretty frustrated with right now. And, I understand the city has a tight budget. They have a lot of things to consider. But there are grant opportunities for funding these specific tree care tasks, whether it's just mapping the tree canopy or figuring out specific heat zones where the heat disparity is higher than other places. And I know Glenn Matlack sent an email about the heat disparities on his walk to work recently and like noticing it intensely during the drought. And kind of giving some really helpful context for how much shade trees support cooling things off.
yeah.
So people are taking notice and
Right.
Right now, and I think it's a really exciting time to be able to jump on the opportunity.
Right. Well, I think that maybe making use of our website and such better, maybe that's something. Well, and that falls into something else. So maybe what we need to do is talk about committees, because I think this is kind of segueing into something that I think is what we need is, we have our Arbor Day, which is a whole separate thing. So that needs to be kind of its own committee that doesn't, it does most of the stuff in the fall for a short amount of time. And then most of the other time, it's just arborish and out there. So that would be one committee. Another committee, I think that we need to have resources and public information. We don't have any brochures or posters to put up in the community center that talks about our different programs. And I'd like to see that if we have a trifold so we can take it to the, Silver Sneakers or to some, neighborhood meeting sort of thing, so that says that this is what we are. And then also like tree signs, yard signs that say, hey, this tree was planted by us. If you're interested, give a call. So that we sing our good praises, because we do have a lot of trees that we really care about. But I also think that we have a communication lack, and that's always difficult. So I think that's another kind of committee, like educational, workshop-y sort of committee. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I would love to. I want to work with people on workshops. I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Well, I
take
think mostly
all of
it's
the
more getting
steam
at
on that,
what we
but-
need
Yeah.
and coming forward with us, and then we
Absolutely.
can start, because we do have some money.
Yeah.
We have some money, and we can even get somebody outside to come and give workshops.
Well, I can start with the drought care
Okay.
instructions. So just like for homeowners, like what you can do for your young trees and mature trees. Even mature trees need help right now. So yeah, I can start to put together a little like poster or whatever. It's very easy to read and intuitive. And send that over when I get a chance.
Yeah, and when it goes, Scott, his last name completely, I forget. We can get it put on to the website through Scott. And
Another good idea I had heard recently from someone in the community was the sign in front of the community center, the like digital sign that has little messages on it. We
Yes.
could put we could ask them to put like severe drought, water your trees
Yes,
this
that-
much, 10 to 15 minutes a day or whatever.
Yeah.
That's something that people are driving by all the time and engaging with pretty consistently.
yes, I will contact about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Are there other ones? No, those are the universities. Universities should do it too.
Yeah.
That's a whole different realm.
Yeah.
Another kingdom that and one thing, Glenn Matlack will I'll probably have him come and give a presentation about some of the work he's done, since he does have, he does urban ecology. He has 2 students right now who are doing urban tree stuff here. I don't know what they're doing. I should know what they're doing. I do know what they're doing, but. Okay.
I had one thing related to the committee's discussion as well. Something that I would really like to lead is the research into stronger tree protection ordinances. Kind of taking examples from other cities around the country that are doing really well with this.
Right.
Not just on, street trees or public land, but
Right.
also on private property.
Right.
Because there are ways to work with homeowners that's not in a combative way, that is like, it is preserving trees in very delicate places. So
Right.
I think it'd be really great to put together some research and show that there's precedent, and then put together some proposals to city administration.
I'm meeting with Michael, who's our representative, our go-between, to start on that process.
Okay.
And now that we can do committees, it will be a lot easier.
Cool.
I'll let you know when that meeting's happening
Sweet.
and stuff.
Thank you.
Same with like the Arboretum. That's the committee you would like to do.
Absolutely.
Great, and then I can help you out with that. And the thing is, once you know kind of where you want your committee to go, you can ask the other people who wants to join. And anybody else out in the community, if you want to join a committee, please do, give us a call. We also have opportunity in the fall to do tree planting. I think one of the other things that we also need to look at is doing grant writing and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, does that make sense with our committees so far? Maybe people who have taken a committee on, just write something up and send it around, and then that way we can kind of pick which committee we want to be on.
Yeah.
I'll take the head for the legislation sort of thing. There is possibility that we might be able to get a student through the community connections. The person who did the first part of the Arboretum was a person who came through that, their work study students, hoping to maybe get another one.
Perfect.
So, the other thing we need to figure out is what our protocol, and we talked about this briefly last time, when we start mapping our trees, we want to be able to, when the MSES students come and say we want to map street, or the class wants to do it, or some other students want to do it. It would be helpful if it was all kind of in the same realm of data collection. Because we have information from old times, but they don't do it, they didn't do it the same, and so it's kind of garbage. I asked Dr. Matlack what he suggested, and he suggested to have people look at PlantNet. So it's easy. We did use it when we were overseas because it will help you identify trees pretty easily. And then you can, everybody can have the same protocol to put it in. And then people can go out and do, do a day of planting, of mapping trees in Athens. What a better date, Free, that's a free date, everybody. Oh my God. So, and then where we want, how we have to download everything, and the happy place it will be in the city. That will be a big part of it. That's something like what I have to talk to. I'll talk to Scott about that. So, what do you put that? We have an outside consultant for our IT stuff, so I don't know. We'll figure it out.
If we want to do any GIS components or anything to that, I'm pretty good
Yeah.
at that and can,
It's just where would all the data files be kept? I just have to find a place for them in the realm of the city that would be accessible, and would have to, to some degree, it would be great if it was pretty freely accessible for people. Mm-hmm. They can pull it up and look at it and see, and if we can get stuff like pull something up that says this is where your right-of-way is, that would be really good too.
we should be able to create a, well, depending on what kind of GIS stuff the city has already, it should be a pretty easy system of creating a 15-foot buffer around if they have a GIS of the street lines, and we could create, I believe, a KML of basically dots of mapped out street trees.
Right.
Should be pretty easily accessible. You could upload it into Google Earth.
Yeah.
How we would host that, what's the best way to get that to
Right.
people,
Well, that-
but it might be
Yeah.
more useful for us internally or for people working on projects.
That is a city planner. We have a city planner now. So, we've had one. They don't let you know for very long, that there is a planner because they don't want them overwhelmed. The first 2 months that they're here, no, we didn't hire somebody. So, because they're like gold. I am planning, I teach planning, so that's why I'm partial. Okay, so that sounds really good. I'm working with Scott right now on getting some money so we can do some of this with the educational and pamphlet flyers sort of things. So I'll know a better budget for that. So, questions about that? Okay. Now, the old business that we have is the Arbor Day. That's coming up. So, that is with Andrew Chicky is our lead person on that. So what we need to do is I will contact him about what days and stuff, and then if we're doing our neighborhood tree planting in the fall, also, like we've been working with Mary, we should also, it doesn't have to be all on the same day. We can coordinate with her group to get the neighborhood trees planted. And we have to remind people out in television land that we have like 20 trees that we can plant and for street trees in front of your house. So if you're interested in hosting a beautiful tree that you will also take care of and water and love, let us know. The City Code Enforcement Office is the place to let them know about that. So, questions about that? We'll know more about timing and everything closer to the date. Last time we were in late October was the time. Probably be even into November with how hot it is.
Yeah, it's been really hot in the fall.
So, yeah, sad. Okay. We did do that video. People liked it. I think more, if we can get more videos, that would be awesome. Especially like on invasive and stuff, and maybe we can release. Maybe instead of us being here, they can just show videos.
Good idea.
Well, actually, I don't know if anybody meets during this time, the other 3 weeks. Maybe but they could do it during this hour or something. We have thrown around the idea of having a sustainability PSA fest. So between us and the sustainability. But, at some point, we need a student to go out and find PSAs. Okay. So, and then the update code, now that we have committees, then we'll be able to do that in a lot easier way and stuff, so. And that's pretty much for old business. Questions?
I had one question. Are we still looking for members?
Yes,
Okay,
there'll be alternates right now,
cool.
but they would be only alternates if we vote.
Okay.
That's the only thing. They're like real people on committees. It's like, oh, you're an alternate. It's because we have statutory things that we do. And we vote on permits. That's why we have to have alternates. So, that's why Sustainability Commission doesn't.
Right.
Just a committee. Not just. Okay? Okie dokie. We can be sued. I think that
Yeah.
might be the difference.
Right.
Not personally.
Good.
No, as an entity. Kind of like we can be mentioned in a suit. So, like if we didn't let somebody cut their tree down, they could come after us as a city, but not us personally. So, that would be horrible. Yeah. So, okay. On that note, any other things? Okay, our next meeting will be September 12th. We'll have dates, a lot more dates, hopefully a jot form for people to fill out when they call. The code office is working on that. So, okay. Anything else? Water your trees,
Please,
please.
Please water your trees.
water your
Please water your
trees.
trees.
Clean out your gator bags. Fill them back up.
Okay. So I request a motion to adjourn.
That's it.
Thank you. A second.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.